Hey everyone, this is Lone Eagle 7. Thanks for coming out to view this perfection walkthrough Polytopia game. I've been playing Polytopia for about a year and a half now, and I've been playing on the Polytopia main Discord server. I've been playing on the Diplotopia server, which is a Polytopia diplomacy type combination. It's like a combination of Civilization, Warzone, and some real life politics. It's a fun little roleplay game. You can also see I've played a couple of games. It's listed at 83 now, and I've played a lot more that I haven't actually completed. But these are the scores that I've gotten so far. I'm not amazing or spectacular, but I've got some pretty decent scores and gotten 3 stars with most of the tribes. I'm still working on that for fun. And I hope that I can provide you some insight with this game, maybe show you some things you didn't know, or provide some strategies that you can use from now into the future. So we're going to divide this video up into 3 sections. The first 10 turns, the second 10 turns, and the last 10 turns. That's going to work very well for us because that is how you normally want to think about a Polytopia perfection game, in those first sets of turns, the middle of the game, and the end. And so we're going to start out this game by playing as Xin-Xi, because that's what some of my friends requested that I do the video over. So let's jump into the game. Alright, so we have spawned into the world and immediately met Zabazi. They are right next door to us, and that is excellent for any perfection start. We will be able to move our warrior over to the west and confront that Zabazi capital. Now, I don't know why exactly, but for some reason, most of the time, the AI will move its unit off and will not replace it with another unit, which leaves us the opportunity to steal that capital. So I'm going to go ahead and build another unit to give us a chance to go for that ruin to the east. And this is a pretty good start. So I've got 8 stars to spend, so I'm going to look at getting my city up to the next level, and to do that it would be fairly easy for me to research hunting and be able to have my city leveled up by next turn. Also, observing around me, we have a Mao to our south is what it looks like, and they are fairly close, so I just need to be aware of them. I'm going to delay meeting them as long as possible because they will gain some benefits by getting my climbing. That's kind of unfortunate that we spawned right next to them. So we have gotten our population up. We have the opportunity to choose workshop or explore, and I would argue, since we have so many good neighbors around us, that we would get the workshop. That is 1 extra star per turn for the next 30 turns, so that's 30 stars added to our income. So that is a huge win, and I would almost always choose that in the early game. Right, so when the next turn Zabazi has attacked us, of course I would do the same thing, even if it was to no avail. But we will be able to take his capital, and we have gotten some excellent technologies from our neighbors. Fishing from Kiku, that's always a good one to receive. And meditation from the Amao, I believe, is what popped up. Alright, so we have 5 stars, so we could invest in another tech. We are not going to do so, just because it's not cost effective. At this point, we would rather get another unit on our capital to help defend that, since we have a lot of troops coming in and we're kind of in the center of the map. So I'm taking this time to go ahead and see, how everybody is with me, and Kiku seems to be pretty nice to me right now, as well as a Mao. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ruin and see what I have to work with at the start of this turn. And we have the harvest of fruit. That's going to come in handy, especially over at the old Zabazi capital, where Xin-Xi has taken that spot. So I will still be able to harvest these goods and get the population I need to level my city up. Now, we don't often want to go past a level 3 city before we get to, say, turn 5 or turn 6, unless we have some god tier spawn that allows us to do so, mostly because it's just not cost effective. We're able to make these stars back. I'm going to choose to get the 5 resources for the Zabazi capital because Xin-Xi's our neighbor and they have very poor attack. They're a shield unit, so they're not going to be able to do much damage to me or compete for that city. Just remember, we are playing in a perfection walkthrough against 9 crazy AI, so a lot of this depends on how the AI reacts to what we do. Now, I'm also looking at getting some tech. We have a lot of good tech to get us up into the mid game. However, we are lacking another military attack unit. And we're also lacking all of the riding skill tree up to that top left. We want to get there because that is where custom houses are. Now, people will argue that custom houses are not essential and ports are not essential in this early game. However, I would argue that you almost need to have some sort of custom house system to really excel in your economy in the mid game and late game. And I pointed out 2 really good spots for custom houses to be put down in the future, and we have 2 good spots. If we didn't have good spots, I wouldn't want to push getting custom houses as much as I'm thinking about right now. But since we have 2 fairly decent spots, we're going to push for that. And I'm in kind of a tough situation deciding who I want to target next, who I want to take over. Right now I just need to pump out some units. And now I have enough stars to go ahead and purchase the archery technology. And archery is a really good unit to have. The bowman is a really good unit to have because for the cost that it is, it produces a really good attack and you're 1 space away. So I am going to invest in that after I kind of see what my surroundings are. I'm very curious about the Xin-Xi capital. I'm wondering if I would be able to sneak in there since he has his units out of it. I have gotten my warrior trapped up there, and that's not ideal. I did push him a little far, but it's a warrior. I can afford to sacrifice 1 for information. Right, so I'm looking at who I should attack, trying to make this decision. It's a tough one. And Amao is really high up on the leaderboard, but I think that they're going to have competition from other people since they're in the middle as well. So I'm going to kind of leave them alone and go check out Xin-Xi, and that's good. His capital's open. I might be able to take that capital next turn. So that would be really nice. And again, another archer to back up my units, since that shield can't do any damage to me of any real value. It's safe to put a archer on that spot. And since I'm trapped here, well, I'm not really trapped, but I have the opportunity to go ahead and scout out the rest of that. I'm going to go ahead and do so, and possibly unite with my other warrior up there. Alright, Kiku has started their attack. Amao a little bit further behind. And I have gotten the Altar of Peace. and that can be really useful, but you really want to be smart about how you use that. So we're going to kind of clear up this area, get rid of these units in my way, because I want to focus on Wetzelli. I can't do that if they're there. Now this is a predicament, but it's okay, because the AI will sometimes decide to just attack me if they're cornered, instead of waiting for me to attack them, and my hit back is stronger than their attack, so I may be able to take that capital eventually. Okay, so we have met Hudrick. We got the Tech of Whaling. And right, I'm just clearing out the enemies around my base. I'm very centrally located, so I'm kind of concerned about that. And at this point in time, it's going to be best for me to go ahead and level up my city since there's so much pressure around me. It's nuts. And I'm deciding on where that best spot to build the altar piece is, and it's right where that fruit's at. So I'm going to go ahead and take that fruit out and build my altar piece. And since I'm centrally located and there's so much pressure, I'm definitely going to get the city wall here. You can't win the game if you lose your capital. At least it's very hard to do so. And I'm kind of thinking about which techs I want to get next. Roads are of a concern for me because I do want to get to that end goal. But also I'm thinking about getting farming so I can get my borders expanded around my capital so we can get those good port locations and good custom house spots. Right, so the city wall was a great investment. They would have been able to take me out if I had not have gotten it. So once I clear out the AMAL units around my capital, AMAL should be kept busy with hopefully other tribes around them. Hopefully I'm not the only tribe that they're focused on. It doesn't look like it, or else I feel like I'll be getting more pressure than I am. And right, I want to get my warrior back, kind of centralize my fighting force again. And right now I'm looking at what units are close to getting 3 out of 3 kills, so they will level up. And when they level up, they get a health boost. So going from a 10 to 15 health boost is really important in the early game with the warriors, because that gives me a warrior that is able to be thrown in a ship, thrown in a boat, and instead of having 10 health boat, I have 15 health boat for only a 2-star cost, whereas most of those 15 health units are a 3-star cost. Right, and Hudrick has taken out my unit. Not unexpected, but a little disappointing. And I seem to be holding my own on the battlefield. Alright, so we met Illyrian, so that's good because... oh, and Luxador, very nice. That's great because AMAL is going to be distracted with those tribes now. It's going to take a little bit of pressure off of me, allow me to build my economy and build up my army. And we have been able to take the Wetzelli capital. And this is a great time to get farming and get that border expansion. We've kind of secured our location, right, and we got that 3 out of 3 units killed. That level up is a big boost. Yeah, so I'm just double checking here to see what is the best thing to purchase, and I'm thinking farming is going to be the best option here. So we're going to plant down this farm and get our city borders expanded, and thank goodness we beat Kiku to it, so we can get some good custom house locations. Again, we can afford to heal up that unit and keep an archer on the city. Normally that wouldn't be a good idea, but I think Illyrian's going to be distracted and not going to come after me, and Xin-Xi is not going to do any significant damage. Right, so we're going to get forestry because we're just going to need it to clear out some of these forests that are in the way. There are better things we can do with the tiles than with forest. I do like forest. There are mainly two philosophies when it comes to forestry. Harvest all the forests or build them up and use them. I'm kind of an in-between hybrid kind of person. I like a little bit of forest just so I can build forest temples, which we'll talk more about in the late game. But we do want to keep some forest on the landscape for that purpose. However, I'm going to get rid of a few of them and get some stars back so I can clear some areas for custom houses and other things. And might I add, in the early game, forestry is a very good cost-effective tech to get. We're going to take this city so that this warrior transfers from the Zabazi capital, the old Zabazi capital, to the new one, the new Xin-Xi capital. That'll clear up a spot for me to purchase a defender, and that is a great combo. We have a defender and 2 archers. That'll do some serious damage once we get up into the mid-game battles. It is unfortunate that he was able to take me out, but not unexpected. I do have a very meager army right now, which is, not average for me. Usually I have a more developed army. Clear that forest. That's going to be a good spot for a windmill in the future, since we have 3 farms there. It's a good spot for it. And I'm going to go ahead and harvest this horse, which is very weird. But I'm going to go ahead and harvest it. And that'll be a good spot for a customs house. Alright, so Kiku and Amal are our top 2 concerns. I would like to start focusing on Kiku at this point, just because they're right there and we're wanting to focus on custom houses and they have a port already built for me to use. But we are right on track for turn 10 on an average game. Of course, we didn't get some god tier spawn. We got a decent perfection spawn. And we didn't get any huge bonuses out of it. We did get a good amount of text, which was a big help to us. But we're just going to build up our military might and hopefully take this into the mid-game. And we're going to start focusing on those custom houses and ports. And my goal is to get them up by around between turn 10 and 15. Turn 12 I found is a good time to get them down. Turn 15 is almost too late. Not too late, but kind of almost where it's not as beneficial as it really could have been on turn 12. I would consider a god tier spawn being able to get custom houses and ports down by turn 10 or even earlier. And they're going to take my 15 level warrior out, which that's my fault. I should have withdrawn him. I shouldn't have pushed him that far ahead. Really had no reason to. But that sets us up for the part 2, the mid-game. So like I said, we're going to get ports down, we're going to get custom houses down, we're going to finish expanding my capital, and get a giant out of that. And so we have a very promising mid-game coming up, and we're right on track to win the game. So I will see you in part 2.